Hi, welcome to MediatorPodcast.com, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a divorce, valuation, and mediation expert in St. Louis, Missouri. During this episode, we will discuss how to make uncomfortable situations comfortable with Mike Gregory. Mike is a mediator in Minneapolis, Minnesota, author of 13 books regarding various topics about valuation, collaboration, and the creator of the collaboration effect. You talk a little bit about kind of leading with compassion and listening with empathy. And so I want to talk a little bit about that and then get more about you and some bonuses that maybe you're going to share with our audience. But how do you do this and stay neutral? Right? Because sometimes one of the parties is kind of despicable or, having really gross behavior, or sometimes, and I know this goes beyond it, sometimes it triggers something in you that has nothing to do with the parties, right? They do something and it's like, oh, I hated when people would do that to me, but it has no relevance, right, to the situation. So how do you stay with that compassion? How do you stay with that empathy and not let your own experiences kind of cloud the actions of the parties?
Well, there's a lot there. And with what you talked about, I'm going to back up a second. One of my books is called Peaceful Resolutions. It has a chapter on negotiation, chapter on mediation, and a chapter on virtual mediation. In the chapter on negotiation, I talk about how to work with a soft bargain, how to work with a hard bargain, and how to work as a professional, personable negotiator. And when you just talked about that, I'm thinking for valuation here, you have an in-spouse and an out-spouse.
Mm-hmm.
The in-spouse knows a lot, out-spouse typically doesn't know a lot. There's a difference here in balance in terms of power and different things. But I think that I have a checklist of about 15 things of how the soft or the professional or the hard negotiator looks at different things. And so that means when you've got someone who's being really quiet, maybe they're being a soft negotiator, there's all these things that are happening here that you need to maybe address as a negotiator or as a mediator with the parties, because they are willing to say okay to things right now, but when they leave this meeting, they're going to come back and say, no, I'm not going to agree to that. So you want to give them an opportunity and you want to really help them to voice what their concerns are. But on leading with compassion versus listening with empathy, there's some studies that have come out in the last 6 months. I used to think these were both in the same area of the brain, leading or compassion and empathy. And they've come back and said they're not. I won't go into the different parts of the brain. But with empathy, we've talked about that. And we've said when you're empathetic with someone, you're putting yourself in their shoes. You're understanding where they're coming from. It turns out with babies that are 6 months old, if they hear their parents arguing, they don't know what's going on, but they'll start to cry because something is not right. They can feel something isn't right in an empathy. Okay. But it turns out with compassion, it doesn't come naturally. We have to learn compassion. You take courses in compassion. Doctors and nurses are taught to be compassionate. What does compassionate mean? Compassionate means you're remaining calm. You're remaining confident. You're remaining competent. If you have a doctor or a nurse, you don't want them to be empathetic. Oh my gosh, you broke your leg. That's terrible. You want that doctor or nurse to say, okay, you've broken your leg. Where does it hurt? We're going to do some different things here. We're going to check some things out on you, but they're going to be calm and confident and competent. You want to lead with compassion. You want to listen with empathy. Mm-hmm. Now, knowing that, if you're a leader, you want to lead with compassion and remember when things are happening. And there's a book called, a poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. And this poem of If has all these different things that are going. If the world is going crazy and blaming it on you and all these different things. And at the end, now it's written by Rudyard Kipling. It's from the late 1800s, I believe, early 1900s. And it says, but if, on the if part, the poem is just called if all these things are going on, but if you can keep your temper while others are losing theirs and blaming it on you, then you'll be a man, my son. Now, it's not done chauvinistically, men versus women. It's that you will be mature. So that's where you have to, as a mediator, you need to remain calm. You need to remain confident. You need to remain competent. you're leading a mediation. So you're empathetic, you listen with empathy, but you lead with compassion. And with your folks, sometimes helping them, we've talked about this with de-escalation, helping them remain calm.
Right.
And that you give them the power to know that they're competent to make a decision. You reaffirm with them they are competent to make a decision. You work with them so that they're confident in what they're doing is in their best interest. And as you look at all of the different issues involved, they're confident this is in the best interest of the best we can do for all of us as we're coming to a solution that might be something I don't love, but it's something I can live with. And if they have a sense that they are confident that what they've done is the best we can get for both sides, we can all live with this, that's a good solution because each party has said, I have been listened to, and I have been educated with what's going on things I didn't know about. But now with everything I know, we can work together to try to resolve this, and we have a solution we can live with.